everybody, and welcome to our YouTube channel. My name is Amara.
And my name is Gospel.
If you are new on our channel, you're just joining us, can I ask that you kindly click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you know when we put content out. And to all our returning subscribers, like you know and we know, it's always a joy to have you here all the time.
Yeah, people get married because they really want to enjoy their relationship. People get married because they want to connect with someone that they will build life with, you know. And from our experience, we can tell you that marriage is a beautiful thing. Marriage is a wonderful union because
Absolutely.
you're connected with this person. You share almost everything with your
significant
other, your spouse.
Yeah.
But then there are things that could impact negatively on your marriage and destroy the relationship you have built over time. And one of those issues is anger issues. So today we want to look at anger issues in marriage. And someone is saying, what's wrong with anger? Anger in itself is not basically a problem because everyone feels angry at one point or the other. In fact, anger is a sign that you don't like injustice. You don't want people to violate your values, your principles, or your human rights. And anger also is a sign that the natural instinct of fight, flight, or freeze kicks in whenever there is danger or whenever you feel threatened. Okay? But the issue today we are looking at is when anger becomes a problem, when it is prolonged, when it becomes chronic, then it could impact on your
relationship.
Yes,
absolutely. Now, before we go into the solutions and how you can manage anger in your relationship, it is really important for us to highlight the impact of anger on your relationship. And the number one thing that it does in your relationship is that it leads to emotional disconnection. You have that sort of disconnect with your significant other, with your spouse. You tend not to be on the same frequency. You tend not to be relating on the same frequency. And this causes a lot of problems in relationship because you are so upset that even the sight of that person is annoying. You just hate the sound of their voice. In fact, if there's any movement in the house, why are they even around? You know, you're just so upset. You're at the point where you don't feel anything. You don't feel that connection to that person.
Anger, as you're saying, becomes an issue when it makes you feel or think irrationally or act irrationally, because when it becomes so overwhelming that you're not considering how this person is feeling, you're not considering if I say something, if I do how I feel, how is it going to impact on my significant other, then it's not a good thing for you at that point because it makes you to think or act irrationally.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about emotional disconnection. When you're angry, you don't feel like hugging, you don't feel like kissing, you don't feel like, you know, getting along with your significant other. And when that feeling of disconnection happens, it could lead to resentment.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be with this person anymore.
Yeah.
And this is why it is important to learn how to deal with anger, because it could frustrate or impact negatively on your relationship.
I think also it's really important to highlight that when you're disconnected, all you're thinking about is yourself. So there is also an element of selfishness because it's about and self-preservation because you're that upset that you don't care about, you know, like you rightly said, how they feel, or you don't even feel anything towards them. And I think it's a very, very sticky situation if you find yourself in that sort of point in your relationship.
Yes, and selfishness is one of the reasons that you can just think about how do I feel? What is in it for me? You're not thinking about how is my feeling affecting other people. Obviously, the person who would affect you or the person who would offend you most times is the person who is very close to you. Like I know that sometimes I could make my wife to be upset, but then what we've realized is that keeping it for too long is not going to help us.
Absolutely.
So because she loves me, she would want to bring it to the table and let's talk about it, even though she's not feeling happy about it, but she wants us to discuss it so that I would express my position or perspective regarding the issue that led to her being angry. And that is one of the things people need to do. So anger can lead to frustration as an individual. You're frustrated with your life, you're frustrated with your relationship, you're frustrated with things around you. Sometimes you can take it out on people who are not even in any way in the equation.
Absolutely.
Like a parent, you can take it out on your child. And sometimes you're angry not because of what your spouse has done. You're angry because maybe you have not achieved the things you want to achieve as an individual, or because your life is not working the way you want it to work. And you're bottled up so much that you're just seeking an expression, how to vent it.
And then it's an overflow, right? Yeah. And the other thing I want to say is that when you're angry, you're not rational. You're not making rational decisions. You're just making decisions based on your emotion at the time, based on your feeling at the time. And trust me, it's not the best moment to make a permanent decision, because when you're angry, it's just a feeling that doesn't stay on, right? And if you make a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling, then that's likely going to have a massive impact on your relationship. Anger could lead to unforgiveness in your relationship. The fact is that when you are angry and it becomes prolonged in your relationship, you get to that point where, you know what, you're so resentful towards your spouse that you find it difficult to let go. You just find it difficult. You look at this person and everything about this person irritates you. You know, you just find it so difficult to let go. And before you know what's happening, you're now in a cycle of constant unforgiveness towards your spouse. And this is not healthy. It's like a cancer that keeps eating you up. You know, you can't let that person go. You feel so much pain. You're carrying so much weight in your heart. And you know what? It's a burden. Nobody deserves to carry such burden around, you know, just being constantly unforgiving towards your spouse. And you know what? I don't even know how people do it.
Yeah, but I think one of the issues here is that some people don't know how to deal with their feeling of anger. Some people don't also, they are so used to unforgiveness that they think the only way to show this person that I'm not happy is to keep being resentful of this person. You know? But then this is why we need to talk about how do you deal. Because some people know that they have anger issues, but they don't know what to do with it.
Absolutely. I mean, what you just said now is very, very critical, because you find a lot of people who have been raised, you know, within a system, a family system where it's okay. It's been anger is normalized.
They will throw things around, break things, shout, aggressive, aggression, and all those.
It's really unhealthy. You know, you've grown up in a system where it's so normalized that it got into a point where from anger you begin to keep malice, and then before you know what's happening, you're not speaking to each other. And for months, it's okay, you know, siblings, whoever in the family, it's okay. And then you find yourself in a relationship, and this is the best way you've known how to deal with anger. But is that okay?
Like you're saying, I also, as you were just talking, I remember that, or it came to my mind that when you have that kind of approach to life, you're not hurting the other person.
You're hurting yourself.
You're hurting yourself.
Absolutely.
Because evidence has shown that feeling of anger, if not dealt with, can lead to poor mental well-being.
Absolutely.
It can lead to physical ailment or illness, you know. So why not think about it from the point of, let me be selfish, in quotes, let me help myself.
Absolutely.
So dealing with anger is a way of prolonging your life, is a way of helping yourself to stay healthy.
Absolutely. Someone might find themselves at a point where they don't know how to manage this emotion. What do they do? You know, how can they move forward, you know, with that feeling?
I think before you go on, I think that is a good state to be, where you have come to the point of realizing that this issue, anger issue, is not healthy. I need to deal with it. That's the starting point of the solution. Because some people don't even agree with you that is a problem. Because they know this is, if you offend me, I give it to you. Straight ahead. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
So getting to that point where you have done a self-reflection and you think this is not helping is a good point. Because from my personal experience, I remembered before we got married, I knew I had issues with anger. Maybe someone did something, and if I bring it to our relationship, if you remembered, there were things we used to have issues because maybe we planned something, it didn't work out, and I'll be so angry.
Yeah.
I'll be so angry, and it almost jeopardized our relationship. And I had a reflection. If I keep going this way, I will not be a good husband.
That's true.
If I keep going this way, I wouldn't be a good father.
Yeah.
So I had to do a personal check to know that, okay, you know what? I need to deal with this anger.
Absolutely.
And one of the things you're going to talk about, or the things we want to share, are the things we have used as individuals and things we have shared with people we have spoken to, and they have really worked.
Yeah. I think it's, first of all, it's down to you being open, to have that conversation, because there's no recipe to this. There's no, if you do X, Y, we can share, we can share with you, some of the things that will be helpful. But fundamentally, it's you being open to take on this step authentically, to be intentional about it, right?
Yes.
So the first thing I would say is communication. We keep talking about this, and these days it sounds more like a cliche: communication, communication, communication. But that is the lifeblood of any relationship. Even anger, it's still down to communication. How it was understood or misunderstood, and things like that. It's still down to communication. And the first thing is having that sort of sit-down conversation with your spouse to say, I'm upset about this, I'm unhappy about this, or this is how you made me feel, and this is why I'm resentful towards you. And it takes two to really have this conversation, because I know there are instances where people might, be very open to having this conversation, and then the other person isn't forward in that sense. They don't want to have that conversation, or they're not, they're not being as open as the other individual. Now, it is really important that, you both are happy to talk about this. You both are on the same page to resolve this. And we might even give, some sort of solution for people who possibly one person is, into it, and then the other person isn't on board, having that conversation. And this is where you might need to initiate another step. But fundamentally, communication is key. Talk about it. Have this conversation with your spouse and let them know how you feel. Let them understand how they've hurt you. Let them understand the reason why you're resentful towards them.
Yeah. So you talked about two things now, I would say. One is communication. The other one is understanding the root cause of the anger. So before you even engage in that communication, you need to know, why am I angry? What is the reason I'm angry? Is it because of your spouse, or is it because of you as an individual, how you perceive things, how you interpret things? So that would help. If anger is as a result of your personal ways of dealing with issues in life, you can still bring it up for conversation so that your spouse will know how to help, how to support you to deal with that process.
Yeah.
If it's as a result of what your spouse has done or keeps doing, you need to also bring it to the table and have an objective conversation
about it.
Objective conversation about it.
Yeah.
And beyond this conversation, another thing is you need to understand that you can control how you feel, you can control your actions, you can control your happiness, you can control the things you can control, which are within your circle of influence. But you cannot control
the other person,
what the other person decides to say to you or do to you. And you cannot control what the other person decides to, how he or she treats you.
Yeah.
But you can control how you treat yourself and how you feel. So you can decide today, I would deal with anger and I will manage my emotions effectively, irrespective of what any other person does or thinks
about it. Yeah, just piggybacking from what we've just said now, it is really important that if you find that you are not both unable to manage it, because some people haven't quite come to a point where they understand their spouse, especially when it's an issue that has been maybe from childhood or something that's been part of their life for many years. This is the point where you would need to seek professional help.
Yes.
It's okay to go for therapy. It's okay to talk to a counselor about it, because the longer you stay with that emotion, you are in that relationship to enjoy and to be happy with one another, to be loved by the other person. But this emotion constantly gets in the way. Now, this is where you would need to seek professional help, and again, communication comes into that. You need to be able to communicate how you feel, why you feel that emotion, and be open to receive the information that's been given to you and go through the process in order for you to be free.
Very important.
Or you might not be free. It's important to say that, but at least you know how to manage it.
Exactly.
Because there might be another situation that might occur tomorrow and then you feel that anger. But it's about how do you manage your anger.
Maybe the anger issue is not even you, it's coming from your spouse. And it's becoming a problem where it involves verbal abuse and sometimes physical abuse.
Yeah.
What that means is you need to stay away from that environment, because it's an unsafe environment. It's an unhealthy relationship that can damage your life socially, emotionally, and physically. So what I would say to you is, as you seek help, let that help create an environment of safety where you're sure that this person is able to manage his or her anger issues, and both of you can live together as husband and wife and enjoy your marriage. Remember, we said marriage is for enjoyment.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place to be. So if that is not happening, something is wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
Learn to manage your anger.
Yeah. I just want to say, your emotions should not control you.
Yeah.
You control your emotions. I think I need to say that again. Your emotions should not take hold of you. You should be in charge of your emotions and not the other way around.
Yeah.
That's why we are human beings. We have the capacity to manage our emotion, but sometimes we feel helpless. We feel like, I don't know what's happening to me. Like some anger is some sort of force. And this is, like we said, seek help.
Yeah.
Talk about it. It's okay. Have a safe space where you rediscover, how you manage this emotion so it doesn't control you.
That's a good thing you said. Emotion doesn't control you. And for you to control your emotions, you need to learn how to work on your thought process, because your thinking is key. The information you have and how you process it. If you can manage your thought process, then it's going to influence how you manage your emotions.
Absolutely.
Because your emotions are the product of your thought process.
True.
How do you think? What do you think? How do you process things? Because if you think things in a different way, you will get different results.
Yeah, I think it's all about perspective.
Definitely.
It's all about perspective, because sometimes the reason why we're so upset with our spouse is, we get to the point where we rationalize, this is the reason why. You process it in a way where your mind, and then before you know what's happening, something so little becomes so big. And it is, we need to protect our minds. We need to think about our thought process, because that is really where the emotion stems from.
We can go on and on talking about what you can do, but if you've not made up your mind, you've not taken a decision to take the steps, nothing is going to work.
Absolutely.
No counselor, no therapist, no body is going to do it for you. It's still down to you. But we know that whatever emotion you feel, anger, sadness, whatever it is that has come in between you and your spouse, can be dealt with, because our desire is for you to have the best relationship. That's why we do what we do. If there is anything you think we might be of help to do, maybe there are things we didn't cover, you want to, write in the comment section or reach out to us, we'll be happy to hear from you.
Absolutely. And it's always a joy to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And maybe you enjoyed this conversation so well that you forgot to hit the subscribe button at the start. Now is the time to do it. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell. And to all our returning subscribers, it's always a joy to have you join our conversations every single week. And until the next time, it's goodbye from us.